Smoke covered the sky like a heavy blanket. The battlefield was quiet now. Ships were gone. Soldiers were gone. The only sounds were the soft crackling of fire and the low wind that moved across the dust. Kalara, an alien warrior, lay in the dirt, not moving much. Her body was covered in broken armor and blood. Her legs were gone. Only burned, twisted metal and flesh remained where they used to be. She had fought until the last moment. Her energy blades had cut through enemy lines. But then an explosion, a blast too fast to see. After that, only pain. She had screamed once. Then silence. Her people, the Zarians, had searched for survivors. They walked past her, glanced at her body, and turned away. One of them even said coldly, "She's finished. Leave her." Kalara heard it. She couldn't speak. She couldn't move. Her throat was dry. Her eyes burned from the smoke. But her mind was awake. Inside, she screamed, "I'm alive!" But no one listened. Time passed. She didn't know how long. The sun above was red and angry, barely shining through the smoke. Everything was gray and cold. Her vision blurred. She thought she would die soon. Then, footsteps, not fast, careful. Heavy boots moved across the broken ground. A shadow appeared through the smoke. It wasn't a Zaryan. It was a human. Kalara's heart beat faster. Humans were the enemy. Dangerous, cold. They fought with fire and machines. She had killed humans before. Would this one kill her now? The man moved closer. His armor was dark and scratched, covered in dirt and dry blood. His helmet was off. He had short brown hair, sharp blue eyes, and a serious face. He held a small device in his hand, a scanner. He didn't raise a weapon. He knelt beside her. Kalara tried to growl, to lift her arm, to fight, but her body didn't listen. The man looked at her leg wounds and winced. "Damn," he whispered. "They just left you here." Kalara's eyes narrowed. Why was he not killing her? Was this some kind of trick? He didn't speak for a few seconds. Then he pulled a med kit from his belt and opened it. He sprayed something cold onto her wounds. She gasped softly, the first sound she had made. "You're alive," he said. "Good." She looked at him with confused eyes. Her lips barely moved. "Why? Help me." He paused. Then he looked straight into her eyes and said, "Because you're breathing." Kalara blinked slowly. She had never heard that kind of answer before, not from a human. Not from anyone. "My name's Jackson," he said while working on her leg stumps. "Marine Squad, Echo Team, but I think I'm the last one now." His hands were fast but careful. He tied bandages, applied more foam. He seemed tired, but he didn't stop. Kalara's voice was weak. "You should leave. Enemy." He looked at her again. "You're not my enemy right now. You're hurt. And I don't leave people behind. Not even aliens." Her eyes filled with tears, not from pain, but from something deeper. She had been thrown away like trash, but this stranger, this human, was staying above them. A loud noise echoed. A patrol drone flew across the sky. Jackson looked up and quickly pulled a thermal blanket over them. "If that thing sees us together, it'll call in a strike," he whispered. Elar. A shook slightly. She couldn't believe this was real. "You will die for me." Jackson smiled a little. "Maybe, but I'd rather die helping someone than live doing nothing." They stayed quiet for a long minute as the drone passed overhead. It didn't stop. It didn't turn. They were safe. For now. Jackson sighed. "I need to get us both out of here. You can't walk, so I'll carry you." Kalara looked shocked. "You are crazy." "Maybe," he replied. "But I'm not leaving you." She wanted to argue. But deep inside, something warm started to grow in her chest. A small light in the darkness. She had been ready to die. Now, maybe not. "Thank you." "Jackson," she said softly. He nodded, gently lifting her onto his back. She was heavy, but he didn't complain. And as they disappeared into the smoke, one thought echoed in Kaelara's mind. The wind howled across the burnt ground as Jackson carried Kaelara on his back. Her armor was cracked, her body weak, but she was still alive. That was all that mattered to him. His boots sank into the ash-covered earth. Every step felt heavier than the last. He didn't know how far the enemy lines were. He didn't know if his own people would shoot him for carrying her. All he knew was he couldn't leave her there. Kaelara's voice was soft in his ear. "Why are you doing this?" Jackson kept walking. "Because I know what it's like to be left behind." She was quiet after that. He remembered his last mission. A trap. His squad wiped out. He had barely survived. No one came for him. No one cared. Now he was giving someone else what he never had, a second chance. They stopped by a broken pillar of stone. Jackson lowered her carefully to the ground. "We'll rest here for a few minutes," he said, breathing hard. His hands were shaking, but he kept moving, checking her bandages. Kaelara watched him. Her green skin was pale now. "My people. They would not do this for you." "I know," Jackson said. "They didn't do it for you either." A small smile touched her lips. It hurt to smile, but it felt real. Suddenly, a high-pitched sound filled the air. Jackson froze. Motion alert. His scanner buzzed. "They're coming," he whispered. He grabbed her and pulled her behind the stone. 2 alien soldiers appeared in the distance, walking slowly with weapons in hand. They were Zarian scouts, searching for any survivors, or bodies worth looting. Kaelara's eyes went wide. "They will kill you. You must run." "I'm not leaving you," Jackson said again. "No matter what." He crouched low, pulling a small mirror to check the angle. The soldiers were close now. One of them kicked over a dead body, looking for gear. The other looked straight toward their hiding spot. Jackson held his breath. Kaelara's heart pounded. She had fought beside those same scouts. She had trusted them once. But if they saw her now with a human, they would not show mercy. "Do you trust me?" Jackson asked in a whisper. She hesitated. Then not a dot. He reached into his pack and took out a flash emitter. One click. A burst of light behind the scouts. They turned, confused. "Now," he whispered, lifting her again. He ran fast and low, using broken walls and smoke to stay hidden. His legs screamed in pain, but he didn't stop. Kaelara gripped his shoulder, her breathing sharp, her eyes wide. They escaped the patrol, but the danger was still close. Later, they reached a shallow cave hidden in a rock hill. Jackson laid her down gently. "Safe for now," he said, then pulled out a small food pack and handed it to her. She looked at it, unsure. "Eat," he said. "You need strength." Kaelara took it. The taste was strange, salty, dry, but her body needed it. As they rested, she looked at him carefully. "Your people would call you a traitor." Jackson nodded. "Probably. Why risk everything for someone like me?" She asked again. He looked tired but calm. "Because someone should have done it for me." Silence filled the cave. But it wasn't a cold silence anymore. It felt warmer, closer. Kaelara touched the burned edge of her armor. Her legs were gone. Her power was gone. But this human, he saw her as more than a broken soldier, maybe even as a person. She whispered, "You're not like the others." Jackson smiled faintly. "Neither are you." Outside, thunder rolled in the clouds. Another storm was coming. But inside that small cave, something had already started. Trust. And maybe something deeper. He stayed. The storm had passed, but the danger hadn't. Jackson stood at the cave's edge, eyes scanning the horizon. The smoke from the battlefield still hung in the air like ghosts. Kaelara sat behind him, her back against the stone wall, her damaged armor now open slightly to let her skin breathe. Her wounds were healing slowly. Not because of her body, but because of him. His care, his hands, his choice to stay. Movement, Jackson said suddenly. Kelara looked up. Who is it? He raised his scope. 2 figures, one in Azarian cloak, one in human gear. He narrowed his eyes. Both sides are hunting survivors. Kelara clenched her jaw. They will kill us both. Together we are traitors. Jackson nodded. That's why we can't be found. He pulled his coat tighter and placed a hand on his rifle. Then he turned to her. We move now. I can't walk, she reminded him, quietly. I'll carry you, again. You're not tired? I'm always tired, he said with a half smile. Doesn't stop me. She looked at him a long moment. There was strength in his eyes, but also sadness. He wasn't just carrying her. He was carrying a broken part of himself. Jackson lifted her once more, carefully placing her arms around his neck. As they left the cave, Kelara whispered, Why do I feel safer in your arms than I ever did in battle? He didn't answer. He just moved forward through the smoke. They passed over sharp rocks and through broken trees. The land was scorched. The war had stolen the color from everything. A sound stopped them cold. A low whine in the sky. Jackson looked up. Drones. Tufa. Of them, 1 Zarian, 1 human. Both scanning the area. Kelara's breath caught. If they find us... Jackson ducked behind a thick metal ruin, placing her gently down and covering her with his body. He whispered, No sound. No movement. The drones hovered above. One of them let out a long beep. Kelara closed her eyes. Her heart thumped loudly. In her chest, it wasn't just fear. It was something deeper. She didn't want to lose him. Not now. Jackson held still. Sweat ran down his neck. His hand gripped his weapon, but didn't move. Firing now would only bring more. After seconds that felt like hours, the drones moved on, buzzing into the smoke like angry insects. They were safe. For now. Jackson looked at her, still protecting her with his body. Are you okay? She nodded. You are crazy, he smiled. You keep saying that. And you keep proving it true. Later, they found a small structure, an abandoned outpost, half buried in dirt. Jackson kicked open the broken door and cleared the inside. This will do for the night. He placed her on a soft spot, an old supply blanket, and lit a tiny lamp. Kelara watched him work. He looked so human. So different, yet she trusted him. More than she had ever trusted her own kind. You didn't have to do any of this, she whispered. He didn't turn. I know. Then why? He turned to face her. Because you were left behind. Just like me. That answer stayed in me. Air between them, strong, heavy, real. Kelara reached out and touched his hand. He paused. He didn't pull away. I should hate you, she said softly. But I don't. Jackson looked into her eyes. Same. For a moment, the war outside didn't matter. For a moment, it was just them, 2 lost souls in a broken world. But outside, in the shadows, something moved. A red light blinked once. They had been seeing. Jackson sat by the doorway, rifle across his lap, eyes scanning the dark outside. Kelara lay nearby, wrapped in an old survival blanket. Her wounds were still healing, but her mind was sharp, and her heart was confused. Why had he stayed? Why did he still stay? She had asked herself that question 100 times. Jackson heard her. Shift behind him. You need anything? He asked softly. No, she answered. Just thinking, he nodded. About what? She hesitated, then said, about trust. About you. Jackson didn't turn around. He just said, you don't have to trust me, I understand. No. Kelara said, that's not it. I do trust you. That's what scares me. He turned now. Their eyes met in the low light of the lantern. Why does it scare you? He asked. She took a breath. Because no one ever earned my trust before, not even my own squad. Not my family. Not my command. Jackson moved closer, setting his rifle aside. Tell me. She looked away, then back. Her voice shook a little. I was born for war, trained from childhood. I was faster, stronger, smarter than most. But I was not born male. In my world, that meant I had to fight harder just to be seen. Jackson listened without interrupting. When I rose to commander, she continued, I thought I had won. But the moment I failed, lost, a battle lost. My legs, they left me, just like that. I was no longer useful. She looked down at her bandaged stumps. Now I am nothing. Jackson leaned forward. His voice was low, calm. You are not nothing. She met his eyes again. You don't even know me. I know you didn't give up, he said. I know you're still here. That's enough. Kalara blinked fast, like she was trying to stop tears, but a single drop rolled down her cheek. Jackson didn't look away. My story's not so different, he said. Kalara tilted her head. You? He nodded. I grew up in a place where no one believed in me. I joined the Marines to prove I was more. Got stuck in missions they said were disposable. My last squad. They didn't make it. Command never sent help. I was alone. He looked down. I stopped believing anyone would ever care. Now Kalara understood. The pain in his eyes. It matched her own. You stayed for me, she whispered. Because no one stayed for you. He nodded once. Exactly. They were quiet for a long time. The ruined outpost around them was broken, old, forgotten, just like them. And yet, in that place of silence and shadow, something strong was being built, not from metal, but from truth. Suddenly, a click broke the stillness. Jackson stood quickly. Grabbing his weapon, Kalara pulled herself upright, alert despite her injuries. Red light flashed from the corner. A small enemy sensor, nearly hidden in the wall. It's a tracker, Jackson said. They found us. Kalara's pulse jumped. They're coming? Jackson smashed the device with his boot, but it was too late. The signal was sent. We need to move, now, he said. Kalara nodded. I'll slow you down. I don't care. You should, she said firmly. He looked at her, face serious. I made my choice. I don't leave people behind. Outside, the sound of engines began to grow. The enemy was coming fast. Kalara gripped his hand. Then let me help you. You can't even walk. But I can fight, she said. Set me down. Give me a weapon. Jackson hesitated, then handed her a plasma pistol. Try not to shoot me, he said. Kalara gave a weak smile. Only if you deserve it. As he lifted her once more, both knew. This wasn't just survival anymore. It was something deeper. Something worth fighting for. And behind them, in the heart of the ruins, the truth they had shared remained like a spark refusing to die. The night sky flashed red as enemy ships roared overhead. Dust flew into Jackson's eyes, but he didn't stop running. Kalara clung tightly to his shoulders, her arms wrapped around his neck. Her plasma pistol hung in her hand, shaking from weakness but ready to fire. They're close, she whispered. I can feel it. I know, Jackson replied, breathless. We're out of time. Behind them, glowing lights swept across the ground. Search teams, armed and fast. Zarian. Hunters and human scouts, working together in rare alliance. Why? Because one of their own had broken the rules. A human helping an alien. A Zarian, still breathing after being left to die. That couldn't be allowed. Jackson slid down a hill of ash and broken stone, taking cover behind an old transport shell. He gently lowered Kalara beside him. We hold here, he said, checking his weapon. Only 3 shots left. Kalara pulled herself upright against the metal. She took a deep breath. If they catch us. They won't, Jackson said quickly. You don't know that. I believe it. She looked at him. His face was tired, dirty, bloody. but his eyes still burned with fire, a fire that refused to die. Minutes passed like hours. Then came footsteps. Heavy, armored. Voices in Zarian language. Harsh and close. Kalara froze. I know that voice, she whispered. Commander Relk, he was in my squad. Jackson gave a dry laugh. Let me guess. Not a nice guy? She shook her head. He left me. I was screaming his name. He heard me. He walked away. Jackson's jaw tightened. Another voice came, this time human. Clear this sector. Find the body. Or the traitor. Kalara's hand gripped the pistol. Her finger shook near the trigger. I want to shoot them, she said coldly. All of them. Jackson looked at her. We shoot only if we must. Why wait? Because if we shoot, we die. The sound of boots got louder. One Zarian soldier walked, just feet away from their hiding spot. Kalara aimed the pistol. Jackson slowly pushed it down. Not yet. The soldier turned about to look their way. Suddenly, a chirp from his cum. Search the east ridge. We found fresh tracks. He turned and ran, the rest following. Jackson let out a slow breath. That was close, he muttered. Kelar. They leaned against him, her heart racing. How do you stay calm? I don't, he said. I just pretend. They waited a while longer, then moved again slowly, carefully. Kalara whispered. We can't keep running. I know, he said. We need a place to hide. Long. Enough to rest. Plan. There's a canyon, she said. North of here. Narrow, easy to block. My people used it during ambush drills. Jackson nodded. Then that's where we go. He lifted her again. Her body was cold. Light. Too light. You need water, he said. We both do. He gave her the last of his ration. She didn't argue. Hours passed. They reached the edge of the canyon as morning light touched the sky. Red clouds floated overhead. The war had painted the sky. Jackson lowered her onto a flat rock and scouted ahead. No movement. Safe, for now. Kalara looked up at him. You saved me again. Not yet, he said. She reached out, touched his hand. You already did. He held her gaze for a second, then looked away. We're not out of this. From deep in the canyon, a sound echoed. A strange, low growl. Kalara frowned. That's not human or Zarian. Jackson raised his weapon slowly. They weren't alone. Jackson raised his rifle, aiming into the darkness of the canyon. The growl echoed again, deep, angry, not from any creature he recognized. Kalara's eyes narrowed. That sound, I've heard it once before. It comes from under the ground. The old ones used to warn us. Warn you about what? Jackson asked. Her voice was low. Tunnel beasts. Creatures from before the war. Before even our people. Jackson frowned. Great. Ancient monsters. Just what we needed. The ground rumbled beneath them, just slightly. Enough to make dust fall from the canyon walls. Kalara's hand tightened around her pistol. We can't stay here. But we can't go back either, Jackson said. They're still searching. The ridge. Then we go forward, she said. Jackson gave her a hard look. Into the canyon where monsters live? She nodded. Yes, because monsters don't care about sides. They eat everyone. He carried her again, this time moving. Faster. The canyon grew narrow, tall stone rising around them. It was quiet, too quiet. Even the wind didn't make a sound. Kalara whispered. It smells like fire. Jackson sniffed the air. She was right. The scent was sharp burned stone, melted metal. Then he saw it. Claw marks, huge ones, cut into the rock walls. I think. Your tunnel beast is awake, he muttered. They kept going, breath held. Every echo sounded like footsteps. Every drop of falling rock made them freeze. Then from behind them, a scream, one of the Zarian hunters. Cut off. Echoing through the canyon. Kalara's eyes went wide. Too late, it found them. Jackson didn't look back. He just ran. A sudden roar blasted through the canyon. A shape moved massive, fast, and made of shadow. Jackson ducked into a crack between the rocks, holding Kaylara tight. The ground exploded where they had just stood. A creature, black as night, with glowing red eyes and metal-like skin, charged past them. Its arms were long, tipped with claws that sliced stone like paper. It didn't see them. "Not yet," Kaylara whispered. "That is death." Jackson held her close. "Then let's cheat it." They made it deeper into the canyon, where the rocks opened up into a small hollow. But the beast was turning now, smelling them. Kaylara looked around. "There's fuel tanks here." Old ones, Jackson spotted them. Military storage. Could still be usable. He gently lowered her down and rushed over. "If this stuff still burns," Kaylara called out, "I'll distract it." "You make the fire." He turned, eyes wide. "You can't move." "I can shoot," she said. She raised her pistol and fired. Twice into the air, the beast roared in the distance and came straight for them. Jackson pulled wires from a power pack, twisted them into the fuel valve. Kaylara fired again, her shots bouncing off the canyon wall. Then she stopped. The beast was right in front of her. It saw her now. She aimed. Her hands didn't shake. "I am not afraid of you," she whispered. It charged. Jackson shouted, "Now!" She rolled to the side as he sparked a wire. Boom! The fuel tanks exploded in a wall of fire. The heat blasted through the canyon. The beast screamed loud, horrible, and vanished into flame. Dust and smoke filled the air. Kaylara coughed. "Did we kill it?" Jackson pulled her into his arms. "I don't know. I don't care. We're still breathing." They limped away from the burning canyon, coughing and bleeding but alive. Hours later, they found a small hill and collapsed beneath it. Kaylara looked up at the sky. "You risked your life again," Jackson shrugged. "You said it yourself. Monsters eat everyone. Might as well fight back." She laughed softly, her first real laugh. "You're the only human I trust." He smiled. "You're the only alien I dragged through fire." They didn't say more. No need. In that silence, something stronger than survival was born. But they didn't know one enemy had survived the fire. And it was watching them. The sun rose slowly over the canyon, golden light cutting through the smoke and ash. Jackson sat with his back against a rock, eyes half shut from exhaustion. His arm was wrapped tightly around Kaylara, who rested in his lap, breathing shallow but steady. They had survived the beast, the fire, the hunt, but they were at their limit. Kaylara opened her eyes. The sky was bright, but her vision swam. Her voice came out as a soft breath. "Why? Are we still alive?" Jackson smiled weakly. "Because you didn't give up. That's how it starts." She looked up at him. "I almost did. When they left me." He nodded slowly. "I know. That's what they do when they're afraid of weakness. But you're not weak, Kaylara. Not even close." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I don't feel strong." "You don't have to feel strong," he said. "You just have to choose to keep going." She blinked, and a single tear slid down her cheek. "I choose," she whispered. In the distance, the sound of engines broke the quiet. A search ship. Not enemy this time. Jackson pulled out a flare. "We don't have much time." Kaylara touched his arm. "What if it's not yours?" "Then we run again," he said. "But I won't let them take you, ever." He stood, limping from the pain in his side, and raised the flare high. A bright green flame shot into the sky. The ship slowed, then hovered, then dropped its ramp. Human medics rushed out. One aimed a weapon. "Drop the alien." Jackson stepped in front of Kaylara. "She's with me. She comes or I don't." The medic looked confused. "She's Zarian." "She's also the reason I'm still standing," Jackson said. "Now either treat her or we both bleed out here." There was a long pause. Then the medic nodded. "Bring her." Hours later, Kaylara woke up in a clean room. Bright lights, Soft bed. New air. Her body felt different. Lighter, stronger. She looked down. Her legs were there, not like before. These were metal, sleek, advanced. Human technology. She reached out and touched them. Cold, but alive. Jackson stepped in through the door, a bandage across his shoulder. You're awake, she smiled. I have legs, he nodded. Told them you deserved more than they ever gave me. She sat up slowly. They'll still call me a traitor. Then you're in good company, he said with a smirk. Kalaur's hand trembled slightly. Thank you for staying. He stepped closer. Thank you for choosing to live. She stood slowly, unsteady for a second. Then stronger. She walked across the room. She stood in front of him, looked up into his eyes, and said the words she once never thought she'd say. I don't want to go back. I want to stay with you. Jackson looked at her for a long time. Then stay, he said. Outside the window, the sun rose higher, clean, bright, and full of new beginnings. She had lost everything, but gained something no war could take. Hope.